On this first fall evening, 17 states plus Puerto Rico report a disturbing increase in coronavirus cases over the past 2 weeks. 25% or more in Wyoming, Connecticut, Wisconsin, Rhode Island, Utah, Colorado, New Hampshire, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and New Jersey. Nationwide, 421 deaths yesterday alone.
We don't know if this is a bump because of Labor Day or if this is a trend moving into the fall. And if it is a trend moving into the fall, then the concern there is that the numbers could be even higher.
COVID is also increasing overseas, with new restrictions in Europe, including Britain.
Tens of thousands of daily infections in October would, as night follows day, lead to hundreds of daily deaths in November.
New research indicates 80% of people who contract COVID do develop symptoms, and most who don't still have as much virus in their noses and throats as someone who's visibly sick. Meanwhile, with Halloween just over a month away, the CDC is recommending against traditional trick-or-treating that could spread COVID across neighborhoods. Instead, recommending pumpkin carving and socially distant costume contests, and perhaps leaving grab-and-go goodie bags for kids who insist on going out. Last night, President Trump again downplayed the risk to kids.
Nobody young, below the age of 18, like nobody. They have a strong immune system, but it affects virtually nobody. It's an amazing thing.
But in March, the president told Bob Woodward kids are vulnerable.
Some startling facts came out. It's not just older young people, to plenty of young people.
The nation's pediatricians report more than 500,000 kids under 18 have contracted COVID. While they do have a lower mortality rate, kids can and do spread the virus to their parents, grandparents, and others who are at risk. The CDC remains under fire for posting guidance that COVID spreads easily in the air, then taking that guidance down, saying it was an error. But a former Trump FDA chief suspects more political interference at the CDC.
You ruin the credibility of the organization, and you don't get the benefit of the doubt in moments like this, if in fact this really was a mistake.
Also tonight, the Washington Post reports the FDA will announce tougher standards to approve a vaccine, making it very unlikely one could be approved before Election Day. It's an effort to shore up public support, with many Americans saying they're suspicious of White House efforts to rush a vaccine before the election.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.